Well, good Saturday morning, everybody. This is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and by the time you see this video, you will know that we are doing a Christmas lights tour of Dahlonega, Helen, and Highlands, North Carolina. But while we were here in North Georgia, we wanted to go back to a place we've been a couple of times we really like. We did a video here 2 years ago, but I think we can do a better one today. So that's what we're here for. We're going to Brasstown Bald, which is the highest point in the state of Georgia. You've heard me in our Clingman's Dome videos point out Brasstown Bald. It is visible from Clingman's Dome. Clingman's Dome is going to be visible from here today. But it is the highest point in Georgia, 4,784 feet above sea level. So we're going to go on back up there today. There is a $5 parking fee up there. But other than that,
they've got an actual shuttle to the top.
They do.
You can hike to the top. Or you can take a shuttle. So
yeah,
that's nice.
The hike is about 0.5. It's almost the same as Clingman's Dome from the parking lot. The time we tried it, I'm going to be honest with you, we've done Clingman's Dome I don't know how many times. The time we tried it here, we ended up flagging the shuttle down. It was steep. It's a steep 0.5 miles.
He asked me the other day, says, you want to try hiking again? Says, they have the option of shuttle. Let's just take the shuttle.
Clingman's Dome don't have a shuttle option,
Yeah,
so you have to hike
You have to.
But they do have that here. You can wait in line for the shuttle. So we only tried to hike it one time, and it was rough. We actually flagged the shuttle down on the way up. So we may come down that way just to kind of add that to the video. We'll see. But anyway, they have a visitor center. They have a very nice museum at the top.
Observation deck's very nice.
The observation deck is 360 panorama on a clear day, which is pretty clear today. You can actually see the Atlanta skyline vaguely. So we're going to try to hope for that today. We're going to try to look back up into the Smokies, and we're going to show you what the mountainous North Georgia area looks like. A lot of people don't think of mountains when they think of Georgia, because most of Georgia is not mountainous, but the north part is. So that's where we are. We're going to take in a really nice view today, so stay with us. Okay, so off of Highway 180, you turn right here where you see the sign for the Brasstown Bald Visitor Center and Chattahoochee National Forest. And this is a steep road. You don't want to try this in ice or snow.
It even tells you, it says leave trailer temporarily because of the steep grades ahead.
Alright folks, up there on top of the mountain you see the observation deck for Brasstown Bald. It's coming into view now. So we should be coming up on where we pay to park, and I do believe that's $5. Starting to level out a little bit now though. That's one of the steeper roads I've ever been on.
It is steep.
And it'll pull, you can feel your car revving pretty good, or hear it revving pretty good going up here. That's $8 per person.
Oh.
Includes the shuttle.
Oh,
wow, so it's gone up. They need to update the online information. Yes, that is a price increase from 2 years ago. I don't know if y'all noticed that. The attendant there is sticking a pole with a net out for you to put your money in. Talk about no contact. I guess that's the way to do it. But
I guess sit behind that little half door so I wish you have to get out.
Yeah. There is the summit, and you can see the observation deck. That's where we're going to be going here in just a few minutes. And I was wanting to hike it, but Shaughnessy has opted for the shuttle, so...
We're paying for it. So
yeah. Yeah, need to make a correction here. I said it was $5 parking. That's what online said.
They taped over it and put $8.
It is $8 a person now, so it's $16 for us to come up here today.
So if you got a national park pass, they do give you a discount. And I heard her ask someone if they were a veteran, so you do get some discounts.
There's one of the shuttles. So there's your concession area, restrooms. Over here in this little cabin to the right is the visitor center. Let me walk over there a little closer. It's a popular place today. So, but inside there is a little store. You can get Brasstown Bald souvenirs. Pets are allowed here. They have to be on a leash or held, and they're not allowed in the general store or in the observation center at the top. I mean, you can take them around the deck, just not inside the museum. So we'll walk over here. Okay, so if you want to do the hike, it's up that way. That's where you pick up the trail. If you want to wait on the shuttles, you do that over here by the restroom area. All right, so we're going to step inside the visitor center here. They just got maps. No ice cream.
No ice cream.
I don't think.
One little thing in there.
One thing. Dog bowls. Shirts. Boxer shorts. Stickers and some books in the back. And that's pretty much the visitor center. So we're going to go wait on the shuttle and ride to the top. It's kind of windy and chilly. All right, here comes our shuttle up to the top. We're going to be showing you some good views here in just a minute.
What's that? I guess the monkey love buttons.
Alright, so here is the observation deck. And inside of that there is a museum. So it's windy, it's not a terribly brutally cold day. It looks like it's 41 degrees. So what we're going to do now is head inside this museum. So just some information in here. Types of rocks found here. So the highest temperature ever recorded here was 84 degrees. The lowest minus 27. And of course, this is land that was inhabited by Native Americans, Cherokee at one time. Yes. Lift the lid and it tells you. Oh. So you've heard of the famous Trail of Tears, where the Cherokee were forced from their native homelands in this area in the East Tennessee and Western North Carolina mountains, and had to move west to Oklahoma. So what's this here?
Basically, like if you own certain parts of the land, it's saying, you know, you could make a living on this kind of land.
Sounds like good pasture land there. That had gold in it.
There's one over here. You deed it back to the squirrels.
Deed it back to the squirrels.
Because it was rocky. Unsuited for
So I
farming.
think you spun this thing here as like the land lottery game. You reached in, picked out a ticket, and it told you what land you got, I guess.
Oh, I see. Okay, I didn't.
And then that tells you whether it was good or bad. Here's this one here. That kind of looks like that'd be good bottom land right there. Choice bottom land along the Notley River. Your land produces well and your family prospers. Pass your land on to future generations. Yeah, he's got a pretty good coin.
All right, well, let's see what we get.
I can already tell you what I'll get. I'll be deeding mine back to the squirrels. You gotta spin it first. Like the wheel on Price is Right.
Okay, so that right there is a hand. How do you so. There's only one thing in it.
Right.
6.
That was that rocky. It's got gold in it, so good job. So here, this is where you get this.
You get that ticket.
So,
That's how I cut our firewood at home.
yeah. Yeah. You're really good like that. So what do we got here? Look at this old steam engine here. I guess that's steam. A coal. I don't know.
You shut off this one? Right there?
Here we go. Yeah, steam.
Telephone line and planted trees and fought forest fires. And I kept right on buying land for the government. Well, I ain't much for rice. They're gonna put a plaque in a boulder on Black Mountain and dedicate Soseby Cove to me. Shoot, I bought that for the government back in 1925. But I reckon the finest honor are my 2 boys, Walter and Clyde. They're both rangers for the Forest Service. And Maybird's husband, President E. Pigeon, he's an engineer for the Forest Service. Well, I know rangering will change over the years, but doing my part has been right for me.
I was trying to get her to smile.
Okay, not a great view today. A lot of clouds back up in North Carolina. From here, looking down on the little town of Hiawassee, Georgia. You can see the buildings down in the valley down there in the lake. That is the town of Hiawassee. And unfortunately, the Great Smoky Mountains are not going to be visible today. Out there where those clouds, that's the Great Smokies. What?
Right out there, the furthest distance mountain.
Uh-huh.
That's not Klingman's Dome?
No.
Oh.
Again, on a clear day, the two are clearly visible from each other.
Oh yeah, we've seen it up here.
Oh yeah. You can spot one from the other.
Should I write the date?
In fact, when we were at Klingman's Dome for sunrise a couple of weeks back, 2 weeks ago, we were able to see Brasstown Bald very clearly.
Yeah, we could.
What I was actually trying to show you was not Klingman's Dome. It was actually Parson Bald and Gregory Bald. Klingman's Dome, according to this graphic right here, that Matlock Bald, which is a point right there, we can see that, or I could a minute ago. And Klingman's Dome is right to the right of that. And again, on a clear day, it's very visible. But right now, it's right in that cloud bank right there. So I am seeing, yeah, it looks like Gregory Bald and Parson Bald have cleared out. And of course, Gregory is where we did the azalea hike back in June. And we're talking about the ones in the far distance back there. Usually this is about the kind of way it looks in the summertime with all the haze.
Yeah,
but this is more clouds. I don't think this is really haze. Unless there's a fire going somewhere, it might be smoke. I don't know.
It's just, yeah, it's got the gray line. It doesn't.
There have been some fires in and around the Smokies. I don't know if that's what some of this is a result of. The views are not good. In December, they're normally crystal clear.
Yeah.
If it's not, you know, snowing or something. Okay, now you're looking back to the southwest at the North Georgia mountains. And out there in that low gap would be looking towards Alabama. I think what we're seeing is smoke. There's very likely some, still some fires burning. I know, what, a week ago before the rain,
Yeah.
it was very serious in and around Pigeon Forge. They had several fires that they were trying to keep contained. I think that's kind of the remnant of what we're seeing here, because there's no way it's going to be summer haze. It's not this cold.
Hey, before you walk away,
What?
there, are you recording? There's
I am.
An elevator lift, so it
Okay.
is handicap
Yep.
accessible.
So even this deck,
You can come up.
yeah. All right, thank you. So let's walk around here. Now, as opposed to Klingman's Dome, if you remember, I was pointing out how bad of a shape their plaques are in. These are really good. These actually clearly point out what you're looking at. He's announcing a movie. We're going to go take that in, I think.
We do ask you do not bring food, drink, or pets into the theater room.
What kind of movie is that?
This short feature, we would also like to thank you.
So the town of Blue Ridge, Georgia is back down in the valley over there.
This is Brasstown Bald, Georgia's highest mountain. Brasstown Bald rises 4,784 feet above sea level, and its peak looms half a mile above the surrounding valleys. Its slopes are carefully cultivated and preserved as a national resource by the United States Forest Service. The mountain's scenic vistas sweep a 4-state area, making it a popular visitor attraction. But Brasstown is a working mountain too. Its commanding view serves the fire lookout station atop the visitor center. There, rangers scan hundreds of square miles, alert for fires that might destroy the valuable resources below. Brasstown's higher elevations are almost a world of their own, with a weather system different from the rest of Georgia, and a rugged beauty that changes dramatically with each season. Winter covers its destructive grip on the mountain with a deceptive fantasy of gentle white snow. Beneath the soft white quilt, winter tears at the mountain with cracking frost and probing ice. In the isolation of winter, Brasstown, the climate here is not the climate of Georgia. Brasstown's weather is an anomaly, matching more closely that of Massachusetts than the climate of the nearby southern cities. Summer's temperatures have never risen above 84 degrees, and winter's freeze holds a record of 27 degrees below zero. Winter is the lonely time on Brasstown Bald. But winter's thaw carries away the cruel cold. Mountain streams bear away the melting snow into the green watersheds and rivers in the valleys below. Warm mists return to the coves and hollows, dissolving away the last of winter's chill. The days stretch longer and longer between sunrise and sunset. And nature's built-in sensors detect the equinox when day matches the length of night. Then, life begins to stir with the end of winter. Spring uncurls from sleepy hibernation. The Cherokee Indians fondly called the mountain the fresh green place. Those forest dwellers must have ventured up the slopes in the gentle season of spring. Life returns to the insects and animals that mark the time of winter's passage in waiting slumber. The deer at last find forage in the new green growth of spring, and squirrels no longer depend on last year's buried acorn. Nature awakens Brasstown's plants to the full bloom of spring as the sun climbs north from the equator. Flame azalea, mountain laurel, and rhododendron blanket the open slopes with blossoms of pink and white. Here at the top of Brasstown Bald, a mountain laurel will bloom 21 days later than one growing only a half mile below. Springtime climbs the mountain. The blossoms blaze forth in a multitude of colors. Nature exercises uncanny control over each flower's beginning. A given seed may rest in the forest litter for as many as 2 seasons before the proper sequence of light, warmth, and moisture sets off its growth cycle. Some seeds will not awaken until they've been chilled for a certain time and then thawed, or passed through 2 freezing cycles, or been soaked in abundant spring rain. Then, and only then, will the tender shoots emerge from the safety of the seed. Were the calendar alone to rule the timetable of growing plants, the undependable weather of Brasstown Bald might wipe out a species with a single drought, an early wet season, or a late freeze. Summer is the time of life on Brasstown. But even then, the mild air of summer bears a threat to the slopes already scoured by winter's frost. That threat is rain. In the valleys, humidity builds up and thick hazes begin to moisture caught in the rich forest soil evaporates under the heat of the sun. Trees and plants breathe out water through their leaves until at last the summer air can hold no more. Then, the clouds return life-giving water as the rains of summer. And each rain washes away a bit of the mountain. Brasstown Bald's environment is not kind to the mountain itself, nor to its trees. Winter's ice and summer's storms take their toll, twisting pliant young trees into grotesque beauty. But in every clearing, free of overshadowing trees, there is another, smaller world of plant life. Ferns erupt in the open shade of the forest, their roots protecting the mountain from destructive erosion. Everywhere beneath the canopy of leaves there is new growth, struggling to reach the sun. A miniature subforest lives content in the sun dapples, never reaching higher than a few feet above the forest floor. Scavenger plants live on the dead remains of forest growth, last year's leaves and needles, and dead wood from the ravaging storms. Decayed by bacteria, devoured by the fungi and mushrooms, the duff slowly merges with the mountain's coarse sands to form the rich topsoil of Brasstown Bald. This thick humus nourishes the plants rooted in its beds. Brasstown Bald and the rest of the Chattahoochee National Forest are vast reservoirs of groundwater in the watersheds of both the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. In a thin covering atop the stone core of the mountain, duff and topsoil hold back and store the runoff of the thunderstorms and the melt of the snow. Slowly, the water percolates down Brasstown's face and seeps into the strata leading to springs below ground. Gradually, the spongy soil releases its surface water into the streams and rivers that flow perpetually off the mountain. Without the regulating hold of the mountain's vegetation, Brasstown's sides would be ravaged by flash floods, and the water nature drops on the stormy mountain would be quickly lost. Rivers below would cascade wildly one day and dry to a trickle the next. Instead, Brasstown Bald meters out the water in a steady supply that eventually flows into the Tennessee River. Suddenly, it is again a time of equal night and day, the autumnal equinox. Half of another year has passed. Soon, the first hoary frost touches the mountain. Summer is abruptly gone. Brasstown's peak leads Georgia into fall. Mid-October displays autumn's colors painted on the mountain's rugged slopes. Sightseers can walk through this national forest and know that great scenic resources such as Brasstown Bald will continue to grow and be protected for the future. The almost 750,000 acres of the Chattahoochee National Forest have multiple uses: water conservation, wildlife, timber, and recreation. But on Brasstown, winter will delay only a while. Then a late blossom must surrender to the snow. Brasstown's misplaced climate brings northern winters to this southern mountain. Once again, the probing ice reaches into Brasstown. Winter winds rising from moist valleys drop their snowy burden along the crestline. The mountains rise like islands in a sea of clouds. Winter is a time apart for Brasstown, a lonely time, as plants and animals drowse until the warmth of spring again climbs the mountain slopes. His life has come and gone.
Okay, we came back up after the movie, and I'm gonna try because I can barely make out Klingman's Dome.
It's cold. Oh, it's so cold. The wind's killer.
Okay, so this is looking back down towards Helen, Georgia, where we were last night and yesterday morning. Looking at it, Blood Mountain, that's the tallest one out there that you see. Now on a clear day, we would be looking at the Atlanta skyline back over that way. We're not going to see that today, and I actually brought the tripod up here, which I've been carrying around with me and haven't even used, in anticipation of setting up so that I could get a good steady zoom up on it. But it's just not in the cards today. Down there's the parking area. It's a beautiful view up here. Even though it's kind of obstructed today, it's still a pretty view.
It is.
But on a clear day, it's magnificent. Yeah, they got some really, really good plaques up here to tell you what you're looking at. Just so my tripod don't blow off up there, grab it. So the skyline of Atlanta is 80 miles. We were also in Dahlonega last night. The skyline of Atlanta is 80 miles away. I really, really wish we could see it today, but I think last time I was up here, I actually was able to spot Stone Mountain outside of Atlanta. That's how clear it was.
Can we go up there?
Alright folks, we're just now driving down off of Brasstown Bald, so I'm going to be looking at the road more than I am the
Yes, he needs to watch the
camera, 'cause
road.
This is a very curvy, steep road. So this is our fourth time to the summit. Probably the worst view of the four, to be honest with you.
We've always had such beautiful clear days other times.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this time, partial views, it was still pretty, but could not really see very well back up to the north to the Smokies. You could barely make out Gregory Bald and Klingman's Dome, and you know my thing is pointing out mountains. The second highest point in Georgia is clearly visible from there. It wasn't visible at all, and that's Rabun Bald. We did a separate hike and a video on that 2 years ago. What I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to put a link in the description just because I want you to see the beautiful views up here. And even though I'm not real happy about the way our video 2 years ago turned out as far as the steadiness of it, it was a clear day and you could see further to then than you could today. So I'm going to link to that video in the description, and also at the end of the video when the recommended videos pop up at the end, I'm going to link to it in there as well. So if you want to see what the views are really like up here on a clear day, you'll have to watch the video two years ago. So I came today prepared with a tripod and a camcorder that zooms. As y'all know, our little Sony small handheld camera doesn't zoom well. That's what I had last time I was up here, and we were able to spot the Atlanta skyline from up here. So I told her, I said, we got a camcorder that'll zoom now, and I'm gonna take the tripod so I can put it on that and steady it. You couldn't see Atlanta if you had to today.
No.
It was just obscured. What I think it is probably smoke from many of the wildfires that have been in the area. It's been very dry.
Yeah, it didn't look like just normal. I mean, there were clouds,
Yeah.
obviously, but there was something else that
Yeah.
was more hazy-like.
There's generally not any summer haze up here. It was showing 41 degrees. It's way too cold for it to be a summer haze. So Anyway, the views today were obscured, to say the least. So a little disappointed, but I know it's really nice up there. So what I'm going to do, this video is going to be a little different, and it may bore some of you. That's okay if you're bored with it. You don't have to let me know. You can just fast forward through it and not watch that part. We went in and watched the movie. I don't think we'd done that before. It's a 14-minute movie.
Yeah, about the season.
About the changing of the seasons, which I found interesting. I am going to omit two parts of it, where they start on that 250 million year stuff. We're not going to use this channel to pass on misinformation or promote evolution. So we don't believe the Earth is 250 million years old. We don't believe certainly don't believe it's 4.6 billion. So anyway, aside from that, we're going to let you see that video in its entirety. It does talk about the changing of the seasons, shows some beautiful scenery. So I'm just going to let that play in this video as well and show you what we can of the scenery we were able to see today. So I wasn't really expecting an obstructed view this morning because it's been pretty clear weather.
Yeah.
But I do think those wildfires are having a negative impact.
Yeah. Because it wasn't like all the way around. It was just on certain sides, like where the Smokies were.
Yeah. Well, a little bit going back towards Helen, because Yonah Mountain, you can usually see very well, very distinct looking mountain. You could barely make it out too.
They do have a gate here. You are correct.
I thought there was.
So when we were coming down, there was a lady asking, is it always open up here? And what he said, the visitor center is closed January, February, March, I believe.
Yeah, and the shuttles don't run.
And the shuttles don't
But he said there's even people up here that come up here then. They just have to walk up, and like in the snow and the ice.
Yeah.
So it was windy today up there.
Windy, yes, and kind of chilly.
Don't know how good the sound quality is going to be because of the wind. But right now we are headed over to, well, anyway, let's give your thoughts on today's visit.
So Brasstown Bald, if you're in this area, I would definitely recommend it. I mean,
on a clear day.
If you know it's going to be clear, you know, definitely recommend it. It is something to come and see. It's easy to do. You can, or like the shuttle, you can hike that little thing. It did look pretty steep. It is handicap accessible. You do have some great views, so I definitely do recommend it. And I know it's got beautiful views.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add to what she just said, if you know it's going to be clear, I would not waste, since it's now $16 to go up there, I would not waste the money if you're not going to be able to see anything. But if it's a clear day, and the way you know it's a clear day, if you're around Hiawassee or any area, just look and see. If you can see the Bald, it's very easy to make out because you can see the observation tower sticking up. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing around that looks like that. It's the highest mountain with the thing on top. So if you're able to see that, which we actually could when we were coming up here, you're probably, I say probably, you're going to get a good view. But we were not anticipating the smoke.
And it was more in the distance. It wasn't right up next to us, but yeah.
So I really think that's what hurt the views today. It is a pretty clear day here.
Yeah.
So highly recommend it. It's just got good views, 360 panorama, nature museum, a little bit of the history of the area.
Yeah.
And it's worth seeing.
Yeah, definitely.
So right now, we are headed over to Franklin, North Carolina. We're going to be spending tonight, and we are going to be taking in the Christmas lights in a town we have not ever done Christmas in, and that's Highlands, North Carolina. Highlands at one time was the highest elevation town in North Carolina at 4,118 feet above sea level until Beech Mountain Incorporated. So Highlands is still up there. That's why it's called Highlands. So we're gonna head over there tonight. Hopefully bring you some nice Christmas decorations. They're supposed to have bluegrass music going.
Yeah, I had called 2 or 3 months ago just to kind of ask about what they do. So we're looking forward to it. The lady made it sound pretty exciting and pretty festive. So
we wanted to stay there, but we wasn't about to pay what they're charging for rooms tonight. Yeah. I'm a little funny like that. When you could go down the mountain 25 minutes and pay a third or a lot more, actually a lot less than that. I think in Highlands everything's running around $300 a night, and just down the mountain you can get it for under $100. So that was a no-brainer for me.
And we got to drive back to church in the morning because she's got Sunday school, so we needed to be a little closer to home.
Right. So we're heading over there now, but if you like this video on Brasstown Bald, no, it's not the greatest. I actually was hoping to make this one an improvement over the last one. The the smoke wouldn't cooperate with me today.
Yeah, but I mean, at least you could see around, you know, what it looks like there in the grounds, and yeah, it's got some great views.
So if you like this video, like and subscribe.
And find and follow us on Facebook.
Have a blessed day.